What's up, guys? We are back. Another episode. This is week 5. Tampa, Hillsborough County football is what we're like to touch on. But all throughout Florida, we want to hear all the best news football. So make sure you guys are following us. Today, I'm just going to do a quick little rundown on some of the scores from this past week. A big game we saw was Strawberry Crest versus Alonzo. It looked like a really, really good game. It looks like Strawberry Crest took the win by 1 point. We also saw a Sumner-Newsome game. Sumner came out on top of that, 17-14. Looks like Wharton and Robinson had a match, and Robinson came out on top of that. Plant City versus Riverview. Big blowout by Plant City. Riverview, it was 54-7. So we saw a lot of great games this past week. A lot going on. The teams are starting to get settled in. And you're seeing some big moves from some of these teams, and everyone's trying to get ranked, and they're trying to keep their schedule, keep their rankings really, really high. So today we're going to change it up a little bit. We actually brought Mr. Mark Oliver. He is the owner of SFA High School, and we got James Wilder Jr., my dog. He's a Tampa legend. He played for Florida State. He also played in NFL. If you guys don't know him, make sure you guys go check out some of his highlights on YouTube. It'll blow your mind. He was one of the best that's ever came out of Tampa. So he's a really good friend of mine as well. So I'm glad to have him on. Obviously, we got my boy Preston Jackson and Derek from Quick Cut. So we're all up here. We're ready to just talk a little bit of football and just see how things go, man. So what's up, Preston? How you doing?
All is well, man. Appreciate the intro. I can't wait to hear from our special guest. Let's kind of backtrack slightly. James Wilder introduced to Chamberlain in the spring as their head coach. Okay, James comes in, a lot of energy. He started at Chamberlain. A lot of us pretty much associated him with playing high school, but he started at Chamberlain. Fantastic player, as you said, NFL pedigree. Then what happens is rumbling starts happening, and they're like, yo, is James still the head coach? Or are you not the head coach? And then it was something along the lines of he was promoted or demoted to GM, something along the lines, and never really got the full story on that. And then a couple weeks ago, I see an Instagram post by James that he was stepping down as the head coach. I reached out to you. You did a little bit of research. You had a conversation with James. You guys, you launched and dropped that information about James becoming the head coach now, especially fit. So a lot has happened in a few months. So we kind of want to go right to the horse's mouth and figure out what the heck was going on. So let's start with James. James, tell us how you got to be the head coach at Chamberlain first.
Man, to be real with you, first and foremost, hey, Matt Coop, appreciate the introduction, man. That it never gets old, bro. So I definitely appreciate it. Back to Chamberlain, man. They hired me December 9th. We came in big energy, and honestly, man, I felt like everything was going good. I felt like we were on a roll. It was literally 13 days before the season. They called me into the office, and I came in with big energy, like, man, we 2 weeks out, fellas. Like, game day coming up, and I didn't see the same energy on their faces, man. So I knew something was kind of wrong from the get-go. You got me? Is we reconnecting? You got me?
I hear you. Yeah, I got you.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. We got the Chamberlain. I mean, honestly, man, we were rocking and rolling, and literally 13 days before the season started, they called me to the office in the middle of practice, and they were just like, hey, man, we love everything you're doing. We appreciate everything you're doing, but we'll love to have you as community relations for the whole school, but to step down as the head coach for the football team. And for me, that was, I'm not here to do that, right? So I was just like, well, I want to be the coach. I don't want to do that. And so at the end of the day, we kind of talked it out. He was like, well, you're not gonna be the head coach. So we want to give you this option to do this for the school, because you're still good people, you're still doing good for the school, but just you want to go in a different direction on the football team. I pleaded for an answer. I asked if I could just get an answer of whatever I did wrong, if y'all just don't tell me, or just so I can grow, right? It's my first year too, and I want to be able to learn from if I made a mistake. I don't know. They wouldn't give me anything, man. They just kind of left it at that. And honestly, I went back to my team in the locker room, and all the coaches were like, "Man, look, we came here for you, bro. So like, let's let them feel like, look, step down as the head coach, whatnot. Not step down. I technically was fired, I guess, if that's what you call it. It's reconnecting again. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. Okay. Um, I mean, technically, I was fired. I told him let me think on it for a day for the community relations. I hit him back the next day. I was like, man, guys, I really can't do it. I talked to my coaching staff, me, all the coaches. We had a coaches meeting, and they were just like, hey, we kind of came for you. Let's just let those guys feel happy. Let's just create a new role. Let's just create a GM role. We don't care about titles here, dog. We on a mission. So I created a GM role, or we created a GM role, and Chamberlain didn't like it. I think Chamberlain wanted me gone when they did that. They expected me to leave. So once I didn't leave, at that point it was just something was every other day, and it got to the point where the head coach was just. I mean, he reached out to me after the game, and he was like, "Hey man, you're killing it, bro." And he's like, "I love to keep you around, bro, but he's like, with me at head coach, I got to win over my locker room." And he's like, it's so hard. It's hard. It's almost impossible to do that with you in the locker room. And I mean, that's just what I mean. Well, no, I was like, we can't stop this, bro. We got to keep it going. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, man, it's just kind of business. It is what it is, and it was hurtful for me, honestly, because it was we the last I hired him. One, I hired him. Two, we've been rocking out. Like, we've been close. We've been watching film together. We've been talking about life situations. So to hear that's the business relationship, I think what I learned from it all is just sometimes that's what it is, right? I mean, you just have to really understand the difference between business and family. With me, I believe football is family. You know what I'm saying? I talk about it all the time. I don't have a friend. I don't think I have a friend that didn't play football. Honestly, I mean, we got Matt Coop. We got you. We got guys, but as of like, what I'm saying, most of my friends, most of my brothers are teammates. So I believe into family. When I was at Chamberlain, we weren't rocking like that. We were cool. We were homeboys. We were fire. But when I got to Plant, that's the first time I really learned about like family is football. Like, that was a different type of culture. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, man, I need to bring that over here because they don't know about it. And he just wanted to go in a different direction. He explained that I can't be in the locker room. I went to the last game. We watched from the stands. The players were happy. I talked to all the players. The players, they're 16-year-old kids, right? They were confused. They were hurt. But I told them I'm gonna support them the best way I can. I got now a new 50 kids that's in my family now. But I told them the best way I can, with them being the first priority, I'll help them out. I had to talk to a lot of parents, man. A lot of parents were pissed off because a lot of it's public school, but a lot of people came there. A lot of people came there, so a lot of parents were pissed off. A lot of boosters that donated money were pretty pissed off because they didn't want to. They wanted to donate. They seen the vision. They seen the vision that I planted out for them before they donated. Before these coaches came, one of my coaches transferred his son into the school. It was a lot like coaches were all the way involved. So we were all hurt, man. But I mean, at the end of the day, it keeps going, right? The day after I put that post, literally, I think every school, I can't name a school, every school was hitting me up. Literally, every single school was hitting me up, man, like, pull up. So what that did for me, I was sad for about a day. I'm not gonna lie. But what that did for me, that gave me my confidence back. Like, all right, everybody's seen the resume, everybody's seen what we did. Now every school is reaching out. I didn't even put in an application for Chamberlain. I put in an application for Chamberlain in 2021. That's when the CFL season canceled, and we had to come back to America. And I randomly got a call from the principal, and it's just like, hey, we've seen your email in the junk mail from 2 years ago. It was December 2023 at the time. She's like, do you happen to be in Tampa? I'm like, yeah, man. I mean, yeah, I'm in Tampa, man. I'm actually looking into that. He's like, come on by. I came by, did the interview. They hired me on the spot. Um, when nobody else wanted to take the job. Nobody else wanted to take the job. Everybody was denying the job. So that's why, for me, I was confused. But you guys are the reporters, man. If y'all can get some news from me, man, let me know.
We were trying.
We try to think.
we,
We
we
kind of put
tried.
our own conclusions up and try to think about it. Me knowing you, we've talked a lot about it. I kind of try to, just try to figure out our own little reasonings why. And I think what we were thinking is kind of like along the same lines, even what you kind of said. And you know, is everything happens for a reason, and it kind of makes sense, at the end with the coach because obviously he's trying to become the big dog, and you just have such a powerful energy. Everyone's going to be attracted to you. The kids are just going to be, the attention's on you, and he probably just couldn't get he's not able to take over that role. And, at that point, you're too qualified for like a lower position. You need to be the head at this program at that point. So to go down, it's just confusing to everybody. So I think this is probably one of the best things that could have happened to you. It is what it is. And now it looks like you're in a great place, SFA. Tell us a little bit about, I know, your phone was ringing off the hook. Everyone's trying to get you over there. What made you want to choose SFA?
Man, honestly, I got to tell you how, like I said, everybody was hitting me up. A bunch of coaches was hitting me up. And I actually had one of my, talk about family, right? One of my plant's teammates' dad, his son plays basketball there. And he reached out to me and he was like, hey, bro, hope all is well. Hit me up. This is important. Great opportunity for you. It's pretty similar to what everybody else was saying. But once I came to the school and got to, talk with Mark, talk with the principal, kind of see their values, kind of see what they believe in. The first thing that was big for me was, before I even went there, was the family on the back of the jerseys. Like I said, football is family, man. You get these kids, they're coming from all different type of backgrounds, man, and football is their safe space. That's why I was so against of saying that running a high school like a business. That they were saying that over there, like, you got to run a business. And I was like, no, you can't. You have to relate to these kids, bro. Like, this isn't business. Like, this is the last stop before it turns to business, right? Like, if it doesn't work out, if anything happens, these kids come back to their hometown expecting us to still be here and be family for them, not anything else. And and for me, I just want to say it. I'm not going to say, Coach Wood is a great guy, so I'm not pointing this towards him. But at the high school level, man, if you don't understand that family base, and I'm saying this for all coaches and all the counties, whoever watching this, like, you got to be about these dang kids. You're gonna end up taking an L as a coach. You're gonna take an L as a coach, man, because you got to really put in a lot of time. It's really a 40-hour week. It's really a 50-hour week. You're dropping off kids. You're picking up kids. These kids are going through emotional roller coasters. They're going through puberty, etc. You got to answer those calls. You can't just ignore those calls, right? So it's literally an all-day job, man. And these kids look up to us, and they, my goal is I bring in all these NFL players to try to give them something to have wide eyes to look up to, so they can just listen to what we say and we can guide them to the water. You know what I'm saying? And if they believe it and do what they need to do, I think we all was seeing what Chamberlain was doing. You know what I'm saying? It turned around very fast. When our first practice, we had 12 kids. Our first practice, we had 12 kids. When I got there, the account was in the negatives, right? It was like, we turned that thing around fast, man. And I'll never say I turned it around. Like, it really took a village. Like, a team, moms came together, the community came together. Everybody came together to make the vision work. I think everybody's seen the vision. So once I came to Mark, and we got to sit down and speak, he spoke first. And his vision was exactly, I spoke to a lot of schools. His vision was exactly what my vision was. And I was like, man, he freaking gets it. And then I went to the school and I was like, man, these guys are family. Like, they're rocking and rolling. When I was it's better when you feel like you're around family. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you feel like people don't want you there and stuff like that, you kind of come to work like, man, I can't wait to get around these kids. Y'all see me on Instagram, 4 in the morning. I can't wait to get around my guys. But then in the back of your head, it's like, man, I know these guys been calling me to the office every day. Like, it started to get tough. Like, you couldn't enjoy. It's already a volunteer job, right? So you couldn't enjoy it when it's like that, man. So when I seen how all the coaches were rocking, and I talked to all the assistant coaches here, and I got to check out the game, and I just seen how it was just family oriented. And for me, it was just a no brainer. For me at that point, I'm like, man, let's sign. It's in the middle of the season, so let's get this thing going on fast. We bringing over coaches already. Javante Martin, he's going to be with the DBs and helping the special teams. John Franklin, Super Bowl winner with the Bucks. He's going to be out there with us, and I'm still even looking for more, man, because, like I said, like Mark has, we have big visions. And what I love about Mark and Mr. Uda, honestly, is they're not scared to come out with their visions. Like, most people hide in the shadows when it's time to talk about how big their vision is and what they think they could do with their vision. And Matt Coop, you could testify to this when I first was telling you about what I want to do, and I was like, man, I want to turn something. I know we got to use IMG as the quote unquote standard, But I was like, I want to kind of build something. I want to be a part of something that's trying to build something like bigger than that. And people that's not scared to say they want to build something bigger than that. Y'all know me, bro. Like number one in the nation, blah blah blah. I always like to be the best. Like if my hand on it, it's gonna be the best. Like I'm not scared to say that. And when I had a bunch of teachers and coaches saying that, and they were looking like they really meant it, not to say it like because they supposed to say it, they really meant that. And I was like, man, I'm in the right spot because I was like, I sure believe we could build something like that. And y'all gonna start seeing it. I'm confident, bro, and I'm gonna talk my junk. Y'all gonna start seeing a turnaround quick. Another thing that I was super, super, super in love with was the emphasis that they put on the education there, man. The principal there, Mr. Uda, man, he is awesome. Like he is freaking awesome, man. And they have a high rate of getting these kids scholarships into schools. And at the end of the day, that's the biggest thing, man. You know, all these kids aren't gonna be able to make it pro. We're not the type of person. We're not the people to tell them they're not. We're gonna push them until it gets cut off. But at the end of the day, you can fall back on that education. I'm at Florida State now taking online classes. And Mr. Uda reminds them on a daily basis, you're here for education, and football is the extra piece, right? And I've been explaining to these kids, even in my first couple of days here, it's like, hey, I was blah, 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 number one in the nation, thinking I'm going to play till I'm 35 years old, and then I break my neck. And now here I am, 32 years old, trying to finish college, right? So we want to get them in position to understand no matter what player you in the nation, it's going to come to an end. But that education is going to take you for life. You know what I'm saying? So I seen the visions with Mark. I seen the visions with the principal, Uda, and I was in love. I've literally just felt like it was a family, and I had to be there. They got the things that they're bringing up to me. It shows that they believe in me as well. I'm not gonna get into detail, but they believe in me. And they're showing it. So
No, that's
I'm ready
awesome,
to rock and
James.
roll.
I'm glad
Well,
we wanted to hear those reasons for sure. Mark, SFA is new to a lot of us. We just started hearing you guys last year, I believe. I know Coach Grooms, he was over at Dover Patriots. I believe he came there, coached a little bit, and that's where I kind of heard about it. So tell us a little bit about the school a little bit and what you guys got planned.
hey, real quick before Mr. Oliver goes, hey James, I may need you to log out and then
Mhm.
delete some stuff on your phone to create some space. I just got a message just saying that you're running out of storage space and you might get clicked off at some point. So yeah,
Okay.
log out and
So I'm
actually
gonna
been
log
kind
out
of
and then I'm
breaking
gonna
up.
log back in.
Yeah,
Okay.
delete some stuff on your
I'll do
phone,
that.
like videos or whatever, and then come back in. All right,
And then I'll
bro.
come back. All right, I got you. Give me two.
You good? You good?
Yeah, all right, Mark. Yeah, tell us.
Early on, and as a matter of fact, our first podcast of the year, Preston. Remember, we were talking like, all right, what's going on over here? I looked at some film. Big offensive guard, offensive tackle, the running back Wesley gets out there. The Terrence at wide receiver. Kids in the secondary, number 21 on the defensive line. I mean, there's just so many good looking kids. And I'm like, Preston, what is going on? And where I didn't even know where the school was at. And I was just super impressed. We started digging a little bit and featured and talked about some of the kids on week one of the podcast. So yeah, it was kind of interesting to see. And then, finding out, I didn't even realize until just, earlier that you're bringing James Wilder over. So that's going to be an interesting, that's going to be fun to follow, no doubt.
I'm glad they clarified a lot of what was going on there, especially for all the naysayers out there that are rooting against them. I think this was very, very positive. I can see why a guy like Mr. Oliver, as motivated as he is, business owner, seems like forever, extremely motivated, would want to bring a guy like James in who's also big vision and wants to move fast.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot, at the end, he said, yo, they got a second campus that are about to erect. I'm trying to look for some pictures of the first campus and see what that looks like online as he was talking. And just they got 4 or 5 basketball teams already. So he just said a lot of things that make my ears really perk up to like, what is going, where are they, like, who's financing all this? This is a lot.
Well, I can just tell, talking to him, he's very articulate. He sounds very educated.
Oh yeah.
He sounds like he definitely has a lot of stuff going on for himself personally, and he's giving back to the community. And I think that's one of the biggest things. When you become successful, that kind of defines success. Is our own lifestyle go so far, but when you can start giving back to the community, you can start giving back, that's really, to me, is one of the greatest things to do. So I applaud him for even taking that attempt to even build out a school, and then to take it to the next level to help kids get these sports scholarships. It's pretty cool. Definitely inspiring. I hope they continue to kill it. So it's pretty cool stuff.
No, it really did. I was so curious about this program early on, and just when we had first talked about them, I'm like, what do they got going on over there? Seeing dudes and I mean they had, I was so curious before that Hudson game what they were going to do against Hudson, and they went out there and put a whooping on them, and just a lot of talent, and then I think they followed up the next week. They played American Heritage Delray and beat them, and so they got some dudes over there, and it's something to keep an eye on that side of the county. It just seems to be a lot of talent, a lot of things going on over on that end. So
because he Mr. Oliver, he just seems like a guy I want to do lunch with now. Like he might have a few layers to him. Like he's very intriguing. Aspirations are massive. And you're just seeing that's why I would want to do lunch with him and see how he put these pieces together. Because now listen, big time. Started a school and then year one had a football team year one. Like that's people don't understand how hard that is to do, right? I don't care how you try to put the pieces together, but you had a football team year one. Like you can get a basketball team, that's easy. You get 6, 7, 8 kids, put a uniform on, it's going to cost them $30 a uniform. You can have basketball. But a football team with all the logistics and the travel, pads, uniform, coaching staff,
speed
helmets,
those are $400 a piece.
Come on, man.
80 kids. Half the kids would play football.
Right.
That's pretty remarkable. So, I'm going to have to reconnect with him in a few weeks.
Hey, Matt, when he's walking through the house, I'm trying to look in the house like, dude, is this dude like a multi-millionaire? Like, who is it?
Well, he has a business. He's doing well. Like I said, to me, when people are doing very well, that's when when they're helping others, they're usually doing better than most. So that's congrats to him again. Like I said, we'll definitely connect back with him and continue hearing the success of SFA. I can't wait to hear about this Lakeland game, and that's a team to go try to knock off. And you can beat them. You might just start seeing them in the rankings. You know what I mean?
Now look, I applaud them for that. Probably because a lot of teams don't want to play them because they don't know a lot about the school. All right, but that Lakeland game, that may be a tone setter. Even if they compete with Lakeland, if they just compete a little bit, that might be a tone setter. Mm-hmm. If they get their butts whooped by Lakeland, that's something else. But regardless, here's a question. Here's a follow-up. Let's just say this program starts getting some real legs to it. They're sitting in Dover, all right? They're sitting between Plant City. Plant City's never really had to compete with anybody for kids. They're sitting between Plant City, and then they're sitting on the other side of them, Strawberry Crest and Armwood. How does that impact, at the very least, how does that impact Armwood and Plant City if this program starts getting legs on it?
Yeah, it's going to give kids more options. They, being a private school, they definitely have a little bit more flexibility to get kids in the school. They can offer a little bit more incentives, I guess you could say, to get kids over there. It could change up some stuff over there. Those three schools always are battling over players and stuff like that. You hear these great kids from Plant City go to Armwood, and then I see kids that were at Armwood at Plant City and then at Strawberry Crest, so they move around a lot of times. And now you add a private school that can maybe offer you a little higher incentive to get to college, get some scholarships, things like that. So now it's going to be fun to see and watch.
Eric, like you want to say something.
And that's just part of Tampa. We talked about how many different schools there are. So you're always having to battle some type of recruiting battle in our area. So we'll see how it rolls out. But as for this show, I think we can wrap it up and talk about, next week and how, we're going into week 5. There's a lot of good games this week. You're going to start seeing. I know a lot of people are waiting for that Plant versus Armwood game. It's been years and years. I know James Wilder is probably excited for that, being from Plant. Any other big news that you want to talk about, Preston?
Before we move, I just want to throw this out there that that those I-4 schools, Plant City's 3-1. SFA, who we just spoke to, is 4-1. Armwood's 4-0. Strawberry Crest 4-0. Tampa Tech 2-2. That's pretty good for those. How many schools I name off? 4 or 5 schools with what, 3 losses between those 4 or 5 schools. That's pretty impressive for that area, for the east side of the town. That's pretty doggone good.
I agree. Yeah.
Throwing Plant City and Durant into the mix and Bloomingdale. I mean, I'll tell you what, there are some teams in the area, and I'll just throw this out real quick because we always do talk about some of the teams on man, Bloomingdale and Blake, they played each other. There's 1 win collectively between them. Man, I'm telling you right now, both of those teams are playing at a really high level. I think some of the schedule, based on the success of last year, some of these teams got grouped into that upper tier and had a tough schedule. And I think Blake's on one end of that. They're playing at a high level, scrappy. I just broke down Bloomingdale. They got a cornerback over there. This kid's a sleeper. We ran him today on social media. Simon Castillo is his name. Playing both ways, returning kicks. Just a heck of a player. But there are some teams in this county with no wins or 1 win that are playing at a high level with a lot of energy, with a lot of good kids. And that's just 2 mentions, kind of keep up with our trend of talking about some of these schools. But yeah, that side of the county's doing some good things. And so, yeah, you're right, Preston. Good mention on that.
Yeah, man. Anything big in the area? Not necessarily so. I think we got some good games coming up. And then the second half of the season, I think, is going to get kind of light, at least for, let's just call it the upper echelons of teams. That Plant Armwood game, is that this week, Matt?
No, Armwood goes and plays Hillsborough this week.
Okay. Armwood, Hillsborough.
In like 2 more weeks.
Let's not move away from Strawberry Crest. Let's not move away from Strawberry Crest just yet.
Mm-hmm.
They beat a very good Alonzo team. So ultimately, what are we saying about Strawberry Crest? Are they a really good team now? We're in week 5. They're undefeated. I would give them the Alonzo is a good statement win for a team of that caliber, right?
That was a big one.
That was it for Strawberry Crest. That's a big one. What are we saying about What are we saying about Strawberry Crest? Like what's the conclusion at midseason?
Yeah, man, I'm proud of them. I think that's a great start of the season, and I think they can continue winning it out. You know, they might go to districts this year. They're
I'm pulling up the schedule up right
district. Now. Do you guys have that up?
Schedule up. All right. So, yeah, I got the district up. So their district opponents. Alonzo was a district opponent.
Okay.
That's big.
That's big, real big.
So Alonzo was a district opponent. Newsom, district opponent. Plant City, Sumner.
Okay.
All right, so here's the remaining schedule. They're at Robinson. They're at Newsom. They'll host Plant City, which is good that they'll host Plant City, okay? Then they're at Sumner. They'll host Blake, host Bloomingdale.
So they're going to need to beat Plant City to win the districts. I think that's going to be their next big game.
That's gonna be the next big game. Let me see what Newsom's looking at right now.
Newsom's looking really good. They did take a loss this past week.
They're currently sitting at 2-2.
Sumner. And Sumner's taken a couple losses this season, so that kind of puts them more down. I believe that it's going to be in that running that Alonzo, which Strawberry Crest beat them, and then you got Plant City. Plant City has looked really good. They had a big blowout this week as well. So that's going to be a big game. Plant City versus Strawberry Crest. We'll have to maybe tune into that one or maybe even go to that game.
That we need to book that. That sounds like it's going to be a good plan, man. So if Strawberry Crest has an impressive win versus Newsom in 2 weeks, Then they have a bye week, and then they'll host Plant City. If they can get past Plant City, they could realistically win out, bro.
Yeah, yeah. And don't count out
I don't give a
Newsom
crap
yet because they're a pretty solid team too. So like they're gonna have to. I think those are they're gonna be the two games that they're gonna really have to really win those, and because their district is pretty competitive. You know, it could be any of those teams that could kind of come out of nowhere and win. So we'll have to keep our eye on that district for sure.
Sumner's not as down as we thought they were going to be. They're still competitive.
Sumner beat
Obviously,
it was only a 3-point
right,
game.
right.
From what I saw. That's
Correct.
a big win. Congratulations, Sumner. I'm glad to see them bouncing back. You know, I think that they were kind of shaken in the beginning, but they've seemed like as we're getting through the school year a little bit, through the season, they're starting to assemble. Their team's starting to play better together, starting to mesh a lot better. So that's a big win. Congratulations to beat a very good Sumner team this year. So we'll have to see how the rest of this season rolls out for those boys. So that's a really competitive district. The other district.
Derek, any final words?
I mean, just in terms of Strawberry Crest, I mean, the last 5 games, it's even to finish up with Blake in Bloomingdale. I'm telling you, their records are not indicative of what those two teams are. Strawberry Crest closing the season with those two. Those are not gimme games by any stretch of the imagination. Those are going to be tough games. So I think the last 5 games for Strawberry Crest is going to be quite the challenge, but they'll be up for it. They got a heck of a secondary. I can't wait to see it in action against Plant City. So yeah, it's going to be definitely a game to keep an eye on. But yeah, the second half of the year for Strawberry Crest is going to be a nice little challenge to watch play out.
A team that we have not talked a lot about, and we'll get ready to close up here. A team that we have not talked a lot about because their season just started off extremely tough is Jesuit.
Yeah.
Right? We haven't talked about the Tigers a lot. They started on that little skid. I'm pulling up their schedule right now. So they started off with a 48-34 loss to Bishop Barrow. Then they beat Benjamin 31-3. Hosted Valdosta. They lost to them by a touchdown. And then they got their swagger back versus Blake with a 45-8 win. Now they'll go Cardinal Newman, University, Middleton, Brandon, Hillsborough, Tampa Catholic. So it still feels like, the better teams, the top end of their schedule is extremely hard. Then it kind of tapers out a little bit. But Jesuit, we have not talked a lot about. And I just think because outside of Will Griffin, they got SJ Green over there. He's a big-time recruit. But Jesuit just doesn't feel like they have the plethora of athletes that they've had in the past. But then again, it's Jesuit. It doesn't really matter who they have. They just continue to win, right? I think they're just winning in a different way currently. I think they're just winning in a different way now. Instead of having all the sexy prospects, they just got really good football players, a really good team, and they're just winning in a different way.
Exactly. Jesuit, I think they're going to find their place. They're a really good team. Will Griffin over there, a credible quarterback, committed to Florida. They have some younger guys I know that are really, really good. So we talked about a few of the guys last time we talked about Jesuit. So yeah, they got a good team. SJ Green. So they got some players, and we're going to start seeing a lot of success, especially throughout. They had a hard season. I mean, they're playing the big dogs. So I mean, their season kind of mellows out a little bit throughout the rest of the year. I think we're going to hear a lot of success from Jesuit to end out this season.
Absolutely. D, what you got? Any last words, my man?
Not much. Just breaking down. We'll find a new team to feature this coming week. Let's put the feelers out and let's see. This Jefferson team's still 4-0.
Leonard too. Leonard, man, these guys are very impressive this year.
Yep. No, it's very interesting. Very interesting in the Bay Area this year. So we'll see.
All right. Great show. Matt, appreciate you bringing in a special guest. Great job hosting today, my man. Derek, as always, spotlighting the kids. I really like that we got to talk about some other programs. So, we're paying heavy attention to, Strawberry Crest is kind of like the hot team right now. Leonard is kind of beating on our door on the backside with the DMs, like, yo, holler at us. Jefferson's been down. They've traditionally always been a good team, and they're freaking 4-0. So we're recognizing credit where credit is due, right?
Yep.
All right, we're out.
All right, see you guys.